Hello and welcome to Teamtalk. I'm Liam Gibbs, and joining me to talk all things Lincoln City today are Mark Whiley from the Lincolnshire Echo and BBC Radio Lincolnshire's Rob Makepeace. The Imps lost 2-1 to Coventry City at Sincil Bank on Saturday. It was Danny Cowley's reaction to the defeat.
We played against a very good team, probably the best team that we've seen at Sincil Bank this year, probably the best team we've played in the league this year, I thought, on the day. We were really pleased at half time. I thought we'd did everything that we'd asked of the players. We played in their half. We kept the ball up the pitch. I thought Reedy was tremendous. I thought Greeny got off of him. Probably won the second ball duel in midfield and really played most of the game in their half. I think they carried a bit of a threat on the counter at times, but I thought we were good value for our 1-0 lead. I'm just disappointed second half because the plan was to try to do the same. And we just didn't do any of the basics as well as we had done first half.
So chaps, a defeat a little bit frustrating after leading?
It was, but I think you have to say that on the day Lincoln were beaten by the better team. Coventry, one of the best teams we've seen at Sincil Bank this season, and they played very well on the day. Lincoln were the better team for the first half an hour, but got a good goal through Matt Reed, but Coventry seemed to come alive after that goal. A few good saves from Josh Vickers before half time, and then Coventry were excellent and scored a couple of good goals in the second half. Danny wasn't very happy with the manner of a couple of those goals. I think Imps could have defended better, but they're also well taken strikes as well, so you have to give some credit for that. So, but I think it just sort of demonstrates where Lincoln are at the moment. 10th in the table, that's probably where they should be. I think they could have gone up into the playoff zone if they won on Saturday, and that probably would have. I think they would have been a bit ahead of schedule had they been that, because I don't think they're quite there yet.
It's not something we've said often this season, Rob. Lincoln could have done better defensively.
Yeah, I think so. I think the second goal they just stopped, didn't they? They had the first save from Vickers, and then the second one where he tipped it onto the bar, and I think everybody thought that was it, and then all of a sudden there was Naz on to tap it in, and it was a shame really for Lincoln, because at times, Josh Vickers, I thought, man of the match, and deservedly so. He saved Lincoln a number of times. At times Lincoln did defend well in that game, but when you've got danger men like Jody Jones, who was magnificent, probably the best player I've seen in League Two this season, you've got to defend well. You've got to defend well for 90 minutes, and Lincoln just didn't do that, I'm afraid.
It's something that Danny Cowley was frustrated with, the fact that they switched off, especially for the first goal when the ball looked to have gone out of play, didn't. Lincoln switched off, Coventry broken, and went up the other end and scored. Yeah,
it came from a Lincoln corner. It looked like it was going to go out of play. I think it just spun back in without going over the line. It's difficult to tell from my vantage point, but yeah, you've got to play on, and Coventry attacked very well, but you still need a quality player to take advantage of that situation. I didn't realise until I saw it again on TV how tight the angle was for the goal, Jody Jones's goal, and it was a fantastic finish. Normally when you score from that sort of tight angle you can look at the keeper, but I don't think Josh Vickers could have done anything about that. It was a superb finish. So yeah, Lincoln could have done better, but there aren't many players in the league who could have finished a goal like that.
Well, Danny Cowley admitted afterwards that Jody Jones was one of the best players in the league, and that he thought Coventry were the best side to play Lincoln this year. Let's
say as it is, we've come up a bit short today. They're better than us. They were better than us, and we have to understand that. And they not so long ago they would have been in the Premier League, and they're a big club with huge resources. So we understand that, but we wanted to go toe to toe with them today. We felt that the game was a bit of a benchmark to where we're at, and we're probably seeing where we're at the moment, and probably the league position that we're currently in is about fair for us as a team at this present moment.
Despite the defeat though, chaps, was it an improvement on the previous two home games?
I think so. I think it was more entertaining, wasn't it, Mark? I think there was more chances. I think it helped that both sides were going for the win as well. We've seen games in recent weeks, especially the one against Crawley, where from minute one you could tell they were coming for a point. So I think that helped matters. And Lincoln did have some good chances, hitting the bar with Matt Green in the second half, and they could have scored more. But at the end of the day, I think an entertaining performance. I think that was shown by the reaction of the fans at full time as well. Despite losing, it was a warm round of applause for the players and the management, and they know they've been beaten by the better team.
You mentioned Matt Green there. We'll come on to him in a minute. First of all, the team selection. Elliot Whitehouse was left out and Matt Reed brought back in. In particular, that was a change that raised eyebrows. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I was a bit surprised. I thought Elliot had done enough to keep his place in the side. He played well against Crewe the previous week and scored. But I think the old adage of you don't change a winning team has kind of gone out the window a little bit now. Danny picks a team that he feels will best combat the opposition, and he felt playing Matt Reed and Matt Green up front was the best way to do that. But I think Elliott certainly played himself into contention more, and particularly with Michael Bostwick's injury, I think we might see him in the next couple of games.
Matt Reid scored, of course. Did he justify his inclusion then?
I think so. I think he did well. I think he caused the Coventry defence a few issues, and we saw once Reid came off, Lincoln didn't have that focal point up front. Nothing against Elliott Whitehouse who came on for him, but when you've got Matt Reid, you have a target man to hit, whereas Elliott Whitehouse isn't your natural target man. He's more of a number 10 running in from the centre of midfield. So I think Lincoln missed him when he went off, and I thought he did pretty well. But again, it was I suppose Matt Green, the man everybody was talking about, come full time.
Gutty, to be fair. Felt like first half we totally dominated the game there, and then they've had a break on us and scored, and the game turns on its head and we're under the cosh. I think the game probably went a bit open second half and turned a bit of a basketball game, but disappointing with the result after we were in control so much first half.
Well, that was Matt Reid's assessment of Saturday's match. Of course, he partnered Matt Green up front, hit the bar. It's just, when will he score?
Yeah, everyone was just willing that header to go in. I mean, it would have been come at a great time just after Coventry's equaliser as well. I mean, he's working so hard. You can't fault his all-round play, but strikers are judged on goals. You just feel if he gets one, it will lead to a stream. And I think he's tended to be a striker throughout his career who's scored goals in bursts. So, obviously, I think it's been nearly 2 or 3 months now since he scored. So it's been too long from his point of view, but I still believe he's the best striker at the club, and I think if he gets one more, we'll follow. And I think it might help him playing up front alongside Matt Reid. Old mates from Mansfield, they linked up well together on Saturday. So I wonder if that's something that Dan is going to take forward now.
As Mark mentioned it there, Matt Reid and Matt Green have played together before. Do you think that helps?
I think so. I could see a couple of times when Matt Green maybe made a mistake or didn't get the shot away like he would have wanted on Saturday. Matt Reid was straight away encouraging him, keeping him going. And I think for Matt Green, as Mark said, you can't fault his work ethic, but it's just not going for him. You've got to ask, how long do you give a striker week in, week out? A lot of people are very surprised he played on Saturday, and for Matt Green, you can see it's a confidence thing. You can tell a mile off it's a confidence thing. It's not that he's got an injury, he's picked up an injury. It's not that he's not working hard, because he's working just as hard as when he was scoring. And I think you could probably go back, and I know Matt's a player who beats himself up a lot away to Notts County when he missed the chance early on and could have taken the lead for Lincoln. Ever since then, he's not looked the same player. Now, I know it's hard to put it back to one thing, but I think since then, he's snatching at chances, and he doesn't look the confidence player that we had at the start of the season. Hopefully, playing up front with Matt Reid, that'll change a little bit. But again, it'd be interesting going into the game against Colchester tomorrow, whether Danny keeps faith with him. But
just as that one incident that you pinpointed there can maybe help or drop a player out of form, similarly, one incident can bring a player right back into form as well.
That's true, but I mean, as Rob says, I suppose you have to look at how long you can give it. The thing is, there aren't too many options up front. I mean, there's Ollie Palmer who can come in. He's done okay when he's come into the side, but I don't see him being a prolific scorer. Matt Reid also has been in and out of the team, again, not prolific. So I think he'll get a few more chances, principally because there aren't too many other options up front at the moment. And but it's an important spell for Matt, because he needs to try and get his scoring boots back on, because a striker or two will be arriving in January, hopefully.
Are Matt Reid and Ollie Palmer too similar to play together, do you think?
It's difficult, isn't it? Ollie Palmer's got more pace than Matt Reid. And Ollie Palmer, I would say, and this is no detriment to him, but I don't think he's a natural striker. Somebody like Matt Green who you feel can finish. Whether they can play together, I'm trying to think now, Mark, if there's been any times where they have played together or not. And it would be interesting to see. Maybe that's something maybe against Accrington in the trophy. You try out, you give it a go, because at the moment, the goals are not going in for Lincoln City. We said it the week before, but for the strikers, really, the strikers aren't getting the goals. So it's something they need to experiment with.
From one end of the pitch to the other, Josh Vickers, as we mentioned earlier, was man of the match on Saturday. He pulled off a number of fine saves, really. Yeah,
absolutely fantastic. I mean, there was one save in particular from Nazon early in the second half, which was absolutely top draw. Fully justifying his decision to keep Paul Farman out of the side. I mean, he was a little bit shaky in his first game, I recall, against Barnet, but since then he's not really done anything wrong. And I mean, if he keeps going the way he's going, he's going to have a long run in the side. And it's tough on Paul Farman because he's been a great servant for the club, but Vickers deserves to be number one at the moment.
Must have been a lot of pressure on Vickers when he came in, because outing Paul Farman, who has been a long fan's favourite at the club, And he's dealt with that well.
He's done really well. As Mark said, he's not really made any mistakes, and you don't notice he's coming for Paul Farman in that sense. You know, Paul Farman's a good goalkeeper, and he's been replaced at the moment by another good goalkeeper in Josh Vickers. It's not a noticeable change for Lincoln City, and I'm sure he'll continue to grow. I've got to remember as well, Josh Vickers has got a great upbringing in terms of playing for Arsenal and Swansea's youth setups, and he's still only a young keeper as well, so he's got a lot of developing to do. But at the moment, you wouldn't see him as being a footballer who's not played many first team games. You'd think he's played a couple of hundred, that the assured performances he's given. One person who has played a couple of hundred first team games is Michael Boswick. Now, he pulled his hamstring Saturday. He's likely to be out for a while. It's a big miss.
It is. I think he's one of those players who you don't really know how important he is until he's not there. He really sort of helps hold things together in midfield, and there isn't really a like-for-like replacement for him in the squad. So you wonder if someone like Elliot Whitehouse or Billy Knott comes in, it's probably going to lead to a change of formation, because they're more attack-minded midfielders, whereas Michael Boswick is a more defensively minded midfielder, and also he can play in the heart of defence as well. So yeah, it will be a big miss. He'll probably be out for the next 2 games if it's pulled hamstring. We'll learn a bit more later today, but then there is that 10-day break, so maybe might be available for the Accrington game in the Checkatrade.
Rob, who are you expecting to come in for Boswick on tomorrow?
I think it'll probably be Elliot Whitehouse. I don't think Billy Knott can play in a 2 in central midfield. In central midfield, I think he's a number 10 behind the strikers. But then Danny might go for that. We'll have to wait and see. I think Elliot Whitehouse might just help Lincoln midfield get a few more goals as well, because Woodyard and Boswick are 2 very defensive-minded players. Nothing against that, but they are defensive-minded players. That's who they are. So having Elliot Whitehouse there as the one that bombs on a little bit, and Alex Woodyard sits back and mops up in front of the defence, I think that'll help Lincoln in the next couple of weeks. So, and Elliot Whitehouse will be desperate to stake a claim for a place, a regular place in the starting 11 as well. Do
you think that'll help when they return back to Sincil Bank on Saturday, maybe have another attack-minded midfielder, just for the entertainment value for the supporters?
It might do. I must say, I think it was quite an entertaining game on Saturday. I think they looked a lot better going forward, created more chances than they have in the previous 2 home games in the league. But having Elliot in the team does add a greater goal threat. He's one of those box-to-box midfielders, and he can finish as well. I think it'll be popular with the fans if he comes back into the side as well.
Colchester away tomorrow then. They're another side like Lincoln are in sort of that group just outside the playoffs. What are we expecting from it?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? Colchester aside, who probably feel they should be a League One club. Have had struggles over the last few years, so it's going to be a tough game for Lincoln. They all are. I was talking to a Lincoln City fan this morning and was saying last season you looked at the fixture list and there was little runs of games where you felt Lincoln would get a number of points because the teams at the bottom of the National League you feel you can beat. Whereas this year you look at the fixture list, every game that comes up you feel is a difficult game and you feel they're going to give you a test, and there's not a lot between some of the mid-table sides to the bottom. There's not a lot between them in League Two, so it's going to be a tough run of fixtures coming up for City.
Are you expecting many team changes for Colchester?
Well, there'll be the one for Michael Boswick. Obviously I'd be amazed if he plays. But like I say, it could lead to a change of formation if someone like Elliot Whitehouse or Billy Knott comes in, and that would see perhaps one of the strikers who played on Saturday coming out of the side. I know they're sort of wrapping Harry Anderson in cotton wool at the moment. They brought him off with 15 minutes to go. I think they wanted to keep him on, but bearing in mind he was a little bit of a doubt going into the game. So we'll see how he is. So I think Harry Anderson, if he's fit, he plays. But Nathan Arnold, I don't think he's really nailed down that spot. So maybe a chance for Josh Ginelli.
Well, that's all we've got time for this week. Thanks to Rob and Mark for joining me as always. We'll be back next week. That's all for now. Goodbye.